Centre, Women's Alpine Ski World Cups, and also the World Snowboard Championships in 2011. When we get here normally in Volta Catalunya, you ride right up to the edge of the piste, don't you? And there's normally still snow. Taking a little look at some statistics now. The average speed of Alex Bourdin on the Col de Tosses was 2:23. Climb that. Michael Storage just being caught now by the peloton, having dropped back. There's my chances of winning today gone.
That's true, that was your pick.
It was my pick of the day. I thought he'd lost 17 minutes. And all he was worried about was today, but it's not going to happen now. Tim Wellens on the front. Seconds, Remco. Right, what's coming up next? We're going to head to the next climb. How's the terrain between here and the Col de Calvaire?
So they're still on this plateau for a little bit, and then they will start descending the Col of La Molina, going through the town of La Molina. They'll have to be cautious. There is a tunnel there as well. They will go all the way down to the town of Alp, and that will be at 50 kilometers to go. From Alp, we'll go through the town of Piccherdin. Will be 44 kilometers to go. We'll start going to the town of Urs, and from there we're going to start a very long climb called the Calvaire. Was it almost 12 kilometers? 11.4 kilometers at 4.1%. It's going to be a big road like this. It's not the most difficult climb. It just drags on and on and on and on. Almost 12 kilometers of climbing. They will go through the town of Font-Romeu. We talked about Font-Romeu earlier on, where the French national ski biathlon team used to go and train, but also Sylvain Chavanel is coming to work on the tour next week. Give him a quick hello. And then we stay on the plateau for a bit of a short descent, beautiful descent. You'll see the scenery. We reckoned that this morning. And then we'll get to the last part of the race. Drop down to the lake, turn left, and start going up to Les Angles. And then at 1.7 kilometers to go. The finish line, that'll have 7%, 6.5% exactly.
Jonas Aguirre on the back of the group, just shaking the legs. Down towards La Molina now. You'll recognise this descent if you've watched Volta Catalunya before. It is rapid. You get down towards the tunnel, you have to be very careful through the tunnel. Sometimes a bit of water in it. And if you come to the Tour de France, we've just got a quick message for you to think about.
Ah non, c'est pas le moment. Non, c'est vraiment pas le moment.
Being thrown off in the middle of concentrating. You wouldn't like that, would you? Riders wouldn't either.
If you come to the race, then respect the riders. They love having fans at the side of the road that don't affect the race in any way. 61 kilometres of racing to go. And UAE are the riders still on the front of this peloton. They have been for a long time. If you've just joined us now, we have a breakaway group of riders who have been on the attack for a lot of today. Here's Alex Bourdin going over the top to clinch the 10 points. It's a very important part of today's stage. If we think, then he will be in the polka dot jersey, because it's looking more likely that the peloton is going to catch this breakaway. But you never know. Alex Bourdin has won from a breakaway before stages of races, so it would be interesting to see whether he can go all the way to the finish with the rest of his breakaway companions. Bennett is in here for New Zealand, Nicola Prodom, Vlad van Mechelen, Raul Garcia, Matteo Verche. Confirmation then that Bourdin took 10 points, Prodom took 8, Raul Garcia Pena 6, Van Mechelen 4, Bennett sitting on the back, didn't look like he was worried about that King of the Mountains jersey, which is on offer today, because the current King of the Mountains is a long way out of the back of the race. Almost at La Molina Tunnel. Today, Jonas Vingegaard is in the maillot jaune, the yellow jersey, the 72nd time that Denmark takes the jersey. They're only one short now of Switzerland, which occupies the 9th all-time spot. Last time a Swiss rider was in yellow was on the second stage of 2015. It was Fabian Cancellara who set up the Pro Cycling team that we saw Michael from earlier on today. Yesterday was the first time ever that Del Toro, Pogacar and Remco Evenepoel shared the top 3 in any professional race that they have ridden. Jonas Vingegaard's 29th maillot jaune of his career. Speed bumps as we work our way down here. He's now in the top 14 places in terms of maillot jaune. He's 2 short of Rene Vieto, and he reached Fabian Cancellara's total of 14 yellow jerseys yesterday. Tadej Pogacar continues to move up through the record books. He posted his 41st top 3 stage finish at the Tour yesterday, moving past Charles Pellissier and Francois Faber. His next target will be Gustave Gabigou at 42, with a 10th all-time place in the ranking of top 3 stage finishes in the Tour de France. We're heading down now towards the bottom of this climb. We're going to reach the bottom of the next col at 35 kilometers to go. 2 more cols remain on today's stage. The average speed has been very, very high, considering we're on a mountain stage of the race. On number 3, average speed hovering around 2 kilometers an hour as things stand. 130, 129. Riders have to be a little bit careful over these speed bumps now, because they're going at such a high speed. But we're going to hear now from the yellow jersey. Let's hear now from Jonas Vingegaard.
It's a hard stage overall, but the final climb maybe not the hardest. But you see still some movement in the GC?
Well, I mean, it's a very short, very explosive climb again. So yeah, I think for sure there will be a sprint to the finish. That's for sure.
We have seen yesterday that we are surprised by UAE playing on Tadej and Isaac. You know, there's also David Pinzoli. Could you try to play on that as well?
Well, I think David already lost a bit of time, so it will be hard for us to play that card as well. So of course we have to think about what we can do strategically, but yeah.
Thank you very much.
127. UAE yesterday with their tactics, and now having Del Toro looking so strong. Do you think Wiesma might be a little concerned about the way that they can play their cards as the race continues?
We know Isaac Del Toro is strong for the last 3 years. Everything is planned.
So they've thought about all those scenarios.
100%.
I wonder how they outdo this. They just are yet again.
Yes, I think the interviewer didn't ask the right question because I don't think they played Del Toro yesterday. Going for the stage the way they did it was not really playing with Del Toro. Playing with Del Toro is to send them in the breakaway on one of the mountain stages. That's playing with Del Toro. What happened yesterday was a race circumstance where Del Toro did a massive lead out, opened up a gap, and Tadej decided to give the victory to Del Toro. But it's not really using Del Toro as a strategic card. Yesterday he was doing a lead out and happened to win.
Yes.
What is 100% sure is they will use Del Toro later on in the Tour de France to be able to create a position where Vingegaard will have to ride or isolate him. But as I mentioned, Visma Leasebike is a team that has won the Tour de France. They have riders on their roadster that are capable of climbing with the best as well, with Sepkus, with Jorgensen. So I think when you go to the Tour de France and you say you're here to win the Tour de France, you plan your team accordingly. So no, they're not surprised. They know Isaac Del Toro. You know Isaac Del Toro. All the fans know Isaac Del Toro. So we all know he's strong.
Do you think there's the lineup, that little line of showing you where all the troops of UAE are. Do you think there comes a scenario, though, at some point in the race where Vingegaard has to choose who does he chase? And actually, UAE could eventually see that Del Toro wins the Tour rather than Pogacar wins the Tour, or that scenario would never happen.
I still think Tadej wants to win.
Yeah.
I still think, I mean, as much as he led the win yesterday in the sprint, I still think that in Paris,
Yes.
Tadej wants to be the boss and get his fifth Tour de France.
But what happens if you're in a valley in week 3 and the gap is still between the three of them is, I'm just summarising as to what might happen. The gap's still 2 minutes and Del Toro attacks. And Jonas looks at Tadej.
And a group of how many riders? Remco's going to be there. Remco will close the gap.
Okay.
Sexas will be
3
there.
riders
Sexas will close the
will
gap.
be there, yes.
Scale Mose is going to be there.
Right.
What about Ayuso? Ayuso is going to be there.
And what does
Remember,
Tadej do?
it's 20 odd teams. It's not just Pogacar versus Vingegaard. There's all these other riders who might not be there at the level of Vingegaard and Tadej Pogacar, but will have an incidence on the race. Because they will see an opportunity to move from 5th to 3rd, or from 8th to 6th. So there's races between races, and although Isaac Del Toro might attack at some point, it doesn't mean that Vingegaard has to be the one that closes. Maybe Scalmores wants to go because he thinks he can win the stage if he catches it.
So Vingegaard can play cards
Equally.
based on the other riders as well and say, okay, well, I'm prepared to let Remco go up the road with Del Toro. Tadej, you want to win this Tour, you need to do something about it because
100%.
Del Toro's up the road now.
100%. This is why it's always complicated, and it doesn't mean you have two top riders. It's always an advantage to have it on their side, and we've seen it in the past. We have Del Toro now since this year. We've had Yates in the past. We've had teams where they were also in the years of Quintana and Valverde, for example. They were second and third in the Tour one year. We've had the years of Team Sky when they had Froome and Geraint Thomas, or Froome and Bradley Wiggins. So, of course, having two of the top riders is an advantage, but it's more an advantage, I think, when things go wrong. I think that's when you're isolated and you're sure that you have an extra rider to be there to help you when things go wrong. That's where I see more the advantage than to use them specifically to challenge the other riders. Of course, it's going to happen. Of course, at some point, Isaac Del Toro might attack and force the reaction of Vingegaard. It's expected. We all know at some point in the race this is going to happen. But I don't think is as dramatic as what people are saying because of the reaction, because it's not just two riders in the peloton.
Okay, let's think about, because we've got time before we get to the next climb of the day. Is there a scenario, and remember now, your QR code, vote for the rider of the day on the right-hand side, scan the QR code and vote for the rider you think.
For 20 kilometers still you have. I think it closes at kilometer 30, correct?
Yep, you do. So scan that now and vote for your rider of the day. Do we have a scenario ever in this team where you have a Chris Froome, Bradley Wiggins scenario on a mountain?
I think things are clear. And the same way Chris Froome had to wait for Bradley Wiggins on Latosphere, I think it was. I think exactly the Tour will have to wait for Tadej Pogacar.
So that's already agreed, already played out. The team will have spoken about it.
I mean, there is a reason why yesterday Del Toro fell in tears and said thank you, because it's not expected. That was the first word when Tadej Pogacar goes to give him a hug. There's one word that comes out of his Del Toro was thank you, and he's in tears.
Because he didn't expect to win the stage.
No. Well, not yesterday anyway.
No, sure.
They might have planned for later on in one of the more mountain stages.
Yeah.
But you know, there's one thing about cycling that I always appreciated is the uncertainty. You can plan 1,000 scenarios. Everything is possible. Maybe the scenario of having the three riders in the front that you just mentioned is possible. Most likely not,
but it
might be.
It's been a while. We haven't had a Vingegaard kiss for a while, have we?
We got a Remco kiss instead today. But that's one thing that I think our sport is so special is anything can happen. There's so many uncertainties about rather shape. There's so many things about the heat. There's so many things about tactics, about crashes, but also other teams that influence your own tactics all the time. This is our business being in the sports directors' cars, and it's easy for us that from our TV to commentate, and I've been sometimes quite hard on some of the sports directors' decisions, but they have to react so quickly, and it's constantly changing. You could work months on a master plan, and things go out the window for a puncture.
Yeah, exactly.
Or for a crash. We talked about it yesterday with Astana, who worked months, who specifically invested on that team time trial. Next thing, four of them come down 10 minutes into the team time trial.
Yeah, you can plan for everything, but you probably need to plan that the plan won't come together.
Yes, that's a good way of saying it.
EF. That's more down. I mean, I just want to be clear on the King of the Mountains. There is a chance he won't be in the King of the Mountains jersey. A slim chance if Nicola Prodom wins the stage. But that's about it.
Ah, yes. True. Because he will take...
He would take 2 points. That would be 10. And because he wins the stage, that would be it. But it's unlikely.
But if they will have to battle the third category as well.
Yes. But the chances are this peloton is closing in so fast. Let's see what happens. So right now he's the virtual yellow and he's the virtual King of the Mountains. And he's having a great day out. Let's take a look at some statistics. His average speed on the climb, 23.2. His maximum speed, 91.7. And averaged over 60k an hour on that descent.
It's a fast descent, big roads, lots of room there to carry the speed.
But he knows this is a chance, doesn't he? You can see the way he's trying to drive this breakaway on and get them involved, push on and try and take the stage. And every now and then it kind of goes back in their favour a little bit. 141 is back in their favour.
There's also the way of thinking that you kind of wish that the further in the stage you go, the smaller the peloton is. So sometimes, although you know the stage could be lost, you kind of hope that they had a big battle behind and only 20 riders come back onto you, and not the whole peloton. Team radio.
Don't go deep as long as possible. It's still far away to go.
Good BS in there again, management. Because, as I mentioned early on, when you have to go and close the gap, when these riders really go for it, that minute can get dropped down in literally a handful of kilometers. So the idea of using Tim Wellens as far as you can, and they probably might have him still at the bottom of the next climb of the Col de Calvaire, is to make sure you don't use the other riders before their time. And you have now this all couple of kilometers into the town of Picture that we just see there in the backdrop.
Doesn't help the breakaway, does it, this road?
No.
Long straight roads, Roman roads. that the riders are racing on now, as they can't hide from anybody. It's really intense. 1 kilometre between the groups. Here's Remco Evenepoel, wearing number 21. Eyes down the back as always. Still looks pretty cool, calm and collected. Doesn't look like he's under any pressure at all. And Wellens being told not to go too deep. I don't know how to not himself. He fights incredibly, doesn't he? The rest of the team. There'll be a point where he says that's enough and he'll cool over and someone else will take over the pace making from him. Tadej literally all the time takes a bottle, pours it over his head, over his shoulders, takes a drink, puts it back. That's the thing he's doing all of the time. Here's our breakaway group of riders. We've probably got a little bit of time to go through a few more teams. We've got 9k to the bottom of the climb, then I think we'll really focus on the race. That was a well-known person in a Shimano car, Henrik Redant, famous pro rider, and also was sports director in loads of different teams. More known as a classics rider than anything else. I once shared a room with him in the Tour of Beijing. It's a week I will never forget. He's larger than life. He's hilarious. Right, Jaco Alula. They've got their sports directors Matt Hayman and Steve Cummings, a stage winner in the Tour de France. Matt Hayman, winner of Paris-Roubaix. They've got Ben O'Connor, Pascal Ackermann, Luke Durbridge, German champion Felix Engelhardt, Michael Hughes, Kel O'Brien, Luke Platt and Mauro Schmidt.
Well, a week before the Tour de France, I would have said GC with Ben O'Connor, but I do think they will go for the breakaways. We've seen them very active in the breakaways at the start of this race, and I think they're going to continue going that way. We have Michael Matthews who's probably going to go into the sprints. They're going to help their Ackermann in the sprints as well, although he's always been around that 4th, 5th place. But I think between Michael Matthews in those, again, third week breakaways, giving a hand to Ackermann in the flatter stages, and then their climbers for the breakaways as they go into France.
First 6 riders enter France. Bourdin leads, a Frenchman on French roads on stage 3 of the Tour de France. Now they need to settle in and really see if they can open up this gap. And it goes through to the front and puts on a massive amount of pressure to see if he can keep this going. Still a big crowd.
Yes, I mean, most people would going through quite a big town. What's for sure is that view on the last couple of 100 meters of the finish line, and there are no fans.
It's going to be a really strange finish, isn't it? It's going to be almost a COVID years or tweeted on finish. It's going to be silent. It's going to be really unusual. But it's to protect this area.
Yeah, I think it was something you mentioned. I don't know if we said it on air or just the two of us chatting. It was recommended and reinforced not to come, but it was not illegal to come. So what they did is they filtered, but obviously if you're staying in your holiday home just here in Puigcerdá, you're not going to stay just locked up in the balcony.
No.
And that was not going to happen. What they were trying to avoid is the movement of people coming up and obviously banning all these barbecues on the side road, kind of festivals and picnics.
It makes sense. The Tour de France, as I said earlier, doesn't really stop. Of course, it stopped in the World Wars, but that was about it. But in normal circumstances, the Tour de France always runs. This is Harold Tejada that we spoke about a little while ago. He's having a wheel change. Our next team to just quickly talk about, Uno X Mobility. They've got Tobias Johannesson, who's finished 6th in the Tour, Jonas Abramson, Anton Scharmig, Magnus Kort, Hannes Johannesson, Hannes Skarsafe, Torsten Train, and Soren Vanschol.
I think they will have a go at GC, aiming for top 10, I would say, with Johannesson. I also believe that Warren Skull is going to have a go at the sprints. and then we'll have the typical attacks of the rest of the team. We've seen it's a team that do like to go into the breakaways. They are a team that try and animate the race as much as they can. So I think we'll see a lot of them at the front of the race in those breakaways, especially on kind of more flatter rolling stages.
Well, let's see how they do on the back. Lasco still struggling after his crash of the day number 1. NSN cycling team. They've got William Girmay, Lewis Askey, George Bennett, Marco Frigo, Mathis Louvel, Chris Neelands, Jake Stewart and Tom Van Asperen.
I would say the green jersey with William Girmay and breakaways. I was trying to see if anyone might go for the GC, but I'm not convinced. I think they have strong breakaway riders, classic riders, fast riders, and I think they'll make the most of those medium mountains and flatter stages.
And then we've got the team of Movistar, Kierda Brooks, Pablo Castrillo, Jefferson Cepeda, Raul Garcia Peña, Michel Hessman, Nelson Oliveira, Javier Romo and Aina Rubio, as we just see Brandon McNulty get going again.
Well, a couple of days ago, the same I would have thought that the Brooks was their GC goal, and not looking great for him at the moment. But I do think Movistar is also a team that likes to go into the breakaways. They have a lot of those very similar style riders, very punchy riders. No one really capable of winning from the GC group, but a lot of riders capable of being in that group of 20, 25 riders in those breakaways. And I don't know what just happened there.
Flat. Yeah, their riders are all pretty similar, aren't they? In many ways.
So they'll be more into the, like today, the medium mountain stages. It feels hard to say medium mountain stage when there's almost 4,000 meters of climbing. But what I meant is there's no 25k kilometer climbs or the Tourmalet or whatever. But because today, in terms of the altimeters, we are on a proper mountain stage. In terms of racing, I don't think it's considered, and actually even the Tour has classified it as a class 3 rather than a class 1 for the big mountain stages.
Looking at the time of Arnaud Delis at 27 minutes 30, how tight is it coming? We'll just hear from the F.
Alex, you're still working against Wellen alone, okay? It's not easy for him. It's very hot in this section again, okay? Stay cool, keep drinking, keep...
Again, the information, keep going. Still one rider in the back there from riding in the front of the peloton. So it's literally at the moment those 6 riders versus 1. And the gap is quite stable.
How important is it for a rider to hear that? Tom Southern just giving him that information from the team guard to know that it's just one rider in the front.
It means that they don't need to change their pace. And that's important information. If you know that, oh, the race is on at the back and they're coming back, well, there's 2 options, is or you give it all or you sit up. When you know you're still one rider and you're minute 30, this information means it's still 6 versus 1. We still have the chance of going another 10, 15 kilometers. And like I said, sometimes, even though they know the breakaway win could be over, but is when the breakaway comes, the further in the stage, well, the less rider there is. So you might have a chance of a result, especially if they get over this climb. The second part is less trickier, part of the final 2 kilometers. So if they get away with getting over the last second climb, well, they can hang in that group for a while.
Well, let's see how it goes. Good information from the sports director to just explain how things are going. As a rider in the breakaway, you have no idea what's going on behind. You have to rely on your sports director all of the time to give you that information so that it motivates you. Niels Pollitt, Brandon McNulty is going back into the group. But Pollitt looks like he's had enough now.
Looks like he'd had enough. Yeah, I did think that he might, that he was just back there from that group, and he might just go straight to the front to give 1 or 2 pull for for Tim Willens. But I also think now they're going closer and closer to that climb of Urs, and by the time he gets to the front, it'll be time for him to swing off. And there's Tim Willens.
Wellens pulling all sorts of faces right now. Tadej Pogačar, it's like a ritual. Bottle out, across the head, round the shoulders, down the legs. Welcome along to stage 3 of this year's tour. I'm Anthony McCrossan, alongside me is Nicholas Roach. Let's take a look back at what's happened so far. 195.9 kilometres of racing so far to Les Ormes. It's been an all-out racing day. Earlier on, Arnaud Delis was dropped from the peloton, again still suffering with sickness. Baptiste Weisstroffer, his teammate, looking after him. There was a crash on the run into one of the climbs. Bruno Amirai was the most injured rider, had to have a little bit of treatment back at the doctor's car. Still, the breakaways continued. Over the top of the first climb of the day, it was Valentin Barry-Plant who was the rider who secured the 2 points at the top of the climb. Lenny Martinez had a little bit of a meltdown in the heat at one point as he waited for his team car. And constant breakaways tried to go away for nearly an hour and a half. Up in the front, there was a large group of riders that formed, included Mads Pedersen, who's looking for the green jersey points of this race. They worked well together towards the intermediate sprint at Camp de Venol. At one point there were 18 riders in the breakaway. We went through the intermediate sprint. Mads Pedersen was not challenged in any way. He took the 25 points. Romain Gregoire has had a few difficult moments in the race. The French champion, Ben Healy, has also been dropped. Alex Bourdin went over the top of the King of the Mountains to take the 10 points. And as things stand, we have a group of riders who are still away. 6 riders: Bourdin, Prudhomme, Van Mechelen, Bennett, Garcia Pena and Verchet. Those riders are in France now, in Occitanie, and heading towards the conclusion of today's stage. It's a big stage, 3,850 metres of climbing in 195.9 kilometres. In the yellow jerseys, Jonas Vingegaard. In green is Isaac Del Toro, yesterday's stage winner. Alex Molinar's the King of the Mountains, but he's a long way back. And the white jersey being worn by the Lidl Trek rider, Juan Ayuso. Well, job done. Tim Wellens pulls the plug and says, that's enough now. I can't do any more pacemaking in today's stage.
Yeah, that's a job done there for Tim Wellens. As we hit the climb of Col du Calvaire.
The lower slopes of this climb coming up. So as far as the run into the finish is concerned, we've got this climb, and then we've got the climb to the conclusion of the stage. I'm keen to push on, wearing number 57. Wellens out the back. Let's take a look at the 3D profile. Nico, there's where Arnaud Delis is.
Yes, about 20 minutes down. Long, long way down the valley. This is the other gruppetto with Tim Merlier, which I think was around, well, that's it, 18 minutes down. Arnaud Delis 28 minutes down. Lost a lot of time and the head of the race there with Tadej Pogačar's group. And Col du Calvaire, where they will go. This is all the top there into Font-Romeu. Those are the 2 climbs. There's another little ski station, long descent through the forest, beautiful road. Turn left, up this little valley, down around the lake of Les Angles, turn left, up, and they start slightly dragging up into the town of Lezong, kicks up slightly until you turn right, and then you have 1.7 kilometers at 6.5%, but all through the town, all slightly drags up at 3-4%. Not a big climb, but you are pushing on the pedals all the way up. There's no time to rest.
So it's 6.5% as an average gradient, but are there steep slopes in it?
Just going through the town, there is 1 or 2 ramps. You do go through the actual city center or the of the town, and it gets narrow, and it goes left, it goes right. Positioning is going to be key as they go through the town of Lezongle. And then just as they go out to that main little town center, they're back on the bigger road, and then past where you parked this morning to take the ski lift. I'm sure you enjoyed that.
I enjoyed the ski lift.
And then turn right, 1.7k to go. And then from there on, it's a bit steeper in between the houses up to here the bottom of one of the ski slopes.
There's nothing like a morning ski lift, is there? Absolutely beautiful morning, blue sky, nice fresh air. Sat there and just made sure I didn't drop my rucksack.
Actually, it was fresh this morning when we left.
It must have been. You went really early. But it warmed up quick, I'm sure. King of the Mountains is nearly 19 minutes now. The lead.
Minutes is the time cut from under I was trying to estimate earlier on.
It's really tough for him to make
3 feet, sort of difficult to get a stage. Or unless I got my calculations totally wrong. This is just estimation because the calculations are obviously done coming into the finish because they're based on the average speed. And I had based my average speed calculations on a 5-hour race and 41 per hour.
George Bennett pushes on a little bit.
Starting to open up a few gaps there. Is it just playing around?
Yeah, Bennett and Bourdin are starting to really mix things up a little bit. George Bennett looking for a team car. He puts his hand up. They go around the corner. Five statistics then of this climb. The Col de Calvaire, 11.4 kilometers, 4.1% is average graded. Very important now for the breakaway to try and consolidate its lead and not see what happened yesterday, where the breakaway was literally caught on the climb by just the momentum of the peloton behind. They closed to what, 25 seconds by the top? They've jobbed out in this attempt, but let's just see whether it's a possibility of going all the way to the finish. Out of these riders, to me, the riders who look best, Bourdin looks superb still. Bennett looks a little bit ragged. Raul Garcia Pena looks a little bit ragged as well. I think Bourdin is the rider who looks the most fresh in this group. Maybe Prudhomme as well.
Yeah, I would have said both riders actually. Prudhomme is doing less work, but it's hard to understand if it's because he's trying to be smart or because he's trying to say because he's actually going as Bourdin. 1 minute to get to the baton.
We'll find out soon enough if Nicolas Prudhomme wins the stage, manages to hold off this peloton. A couple of quick mentions as we make our way onto the climb. Kevin Holliday, happy birthday to your brother-in-law Alex. 78th birthday today. Barbara will also be watching, so happy birthday, Alex.
Oh, there goes the attack. Bourdin, and no reaction from the riders.
That's a big move by Alex Bourdin. He looked fresh. He's decided to go. And Bourdin likes a solo breakaway. He's quite happy to take matters into his own hands.
Yeah, and to be honest, the way the profile of this race is done, he's better off doing his own thing. 11.5 kilometers if the other rider's not committing or as strong as he is. I think that's his only chance to continue in the lead and extend that lead out to go further along the stage. Seems the wind has picked up a little bit, but I don't know if it's just the helicopter flying low there. Attack totally on the other side of the road. No reaction from any rider at all. Just looking at each other.
Bourdain is now committed. There's the attack.
And really attack like they teach you when you're in cycling school, from the back and across the road.
Yep, don't let anyone get on your wheel.
We often see attacks now a little bit everywhere in the group, from the front, from the middle, but I remember when I was at those things that they teach you is you have to kind of drop back, be at the back of the group, and one big attack can go in the diagonal, go across the road. It's just like seeing a textbook attack from a school book.
It was perfect.
Prudhomme's coming back extremely quick there, good at.
Yeah, Prudhomme looks very, very good, doesn't he, as he pedals his way back. Bourdain is 25 years of age, comes from Albertville in the Alps, a really strong climber. Let's see if he can get himself with Prudhomme now up the road, and one of them to take a stage win. Prudhomme took a stage of the Giro d'Italia in his career in 2025, so he's already tasted success as a rider in a Grand Tour. He's got a contract with Decathlon CMA CGM to the end of 2028. 6 wins in his career so far. 1 World Tour victory in the Giro d'Italia, the rest of them in smaller races, but he has won in Route Occitanie. He won stage 3 to Lutz Ardiden when he took the victory of Route Occitanie. He won the final general classification, beating, interestingly, Davide Piganzoli into 2nd place. And that was a race on the final day to Saint-Giron. 2025, Prudhomme was the winner of Route Occitanie, so we may well know some of these roads. Bourdain on the front, Prudhomme 2nd place. Decathlon CMA CGM going for a stage victory here. 118 now.
And the gap is still quite stable, about 120, 130. They've opened up a good gap now, 20 seconds with that group of that chasing group. And the climb's all like this, all this kind of 2-lane road, that kind of gradient. It flattens out at some point when you go through a little town, but apart from that, it's just very, very, very steady slope.
I would imagine the riders will be happy to get this stage over with. It's been so hot and such hard racing right from the start.
Yes, and actually, when you're a rider in the peloton, it's a little bit of a boring stage because nothing's happening. And it's not one of those big stages where you are suffering for an hour to go up to Tourmalet, and then next thing you have a 45-minute descent into the valley, and you have the adrenaline kicking in on the descent. This was just a long, long, long grit and ground stage, and you're just sitting on the wheel, and if you don't have the legs, you're popped. And if not, you have to hang in there, and you're just hanging in, and you know it might all be done on the final 2 kilometers of today's stage, like most of the days, but you don't have to do 4,000 meters before that. And in the peloton, actually, these stages are very wearing down mentally, because you're just constantly focused, as we have the team radio.
Good job, man. Good job. Good job. Thank you, Tim. Good job.
That sounds to be like Tadej.
Yeah, I think so.
Talking to the team and saying thank you very much for their work, which they'll appreciate. Nice to have your team leader just acknowledge the amount of work you've done. It's not taken for granted, is it? That they just sit on the front and that's it. Prudhomme is up the road. Bigancha sitting behind Isaac Del Toro. These 2 riders just spinning away. Adam Yates, as usual, in a massive gear. Out the saddle, rolling it over. Such a different style, isn't it? But one that works.
It definitely works for him.
But isn't it strange that he comes from a track background? And
everything's about being seated.
Yeah, everything's about being seated and spinning and everything. And both him and Simon in his career, big gears, just rolling them over, nice and steady, looks comfortable. It's almost like a weight training style on the bike. But it works and it's really effective. You rode bigger gears, didn't you?
Yeah, I was also a lot out of the saddle. I struggle with understanding how riders can push so much power at 100 cadence. And also, again, when I was riding, we were told that higher cadence also means that you're consuming a lot more oxygen and glycogen. So this is why having a high cadence didn't make always sense. At around 80, 85 was more than enough. And when I see some riders, like for example Felix Gall, I'm like, I'd be out of breath to do 1 kilometer at Felix Gall's cadence. But obviously, you also see now a lot of the riders are using more and more high cadence.
This is Paul Sexas.
All bandaged up.
Yeah, both elbows. At some point, he's going to have bandages left. Let's hope he can get those bandages off soon. Tishmanu seems to be the rider who's riding with him most of the time. Still 7k, 7.7k to go to the top of this mountain.
Still quite a big bunch, probably around just over 50 riders.
Arnold Delay now at 30 minutes. There's going to be a call soon, isn't there? For Weistroffer, if he's got any energy left to try and make the time limit. They wouldn't want to lose 2 riders on one day.
No, and it'd be a pity for the Tour de France rookie to go home in that condition. I feel really sorry for him.
Yeah, I would definitely.
There's the climb. What I really enjoy about these valleys is they're so open. When we go into the Alps and the higher mountains, sometimes it feels like you're losing daylight. And when you're riding at the bottom of the top of the valleys are beautiful. You go through some of the most amazing sceneries. But when you're at the bottom of the valley, it just looks dark and grey. Where this valley, just look how open this valley is. It's so beautiful, so much light.
We just went past the solar park, which is up there on the top of the mountain. Nico was talking about rookies. There's 50 rookies in the race this time. They include Del Toro, Sexas, Josh Tarling, Tiberi, Olav Koy, Riccitello, and others. So some names we're well used to hearing about, but 50 of them are the riders taking their due. Nico, we're nearly at the top of the climb. I think it's time to think about dinner.
I was wondering if you're not hungry today.
I am starving, that's why I've not talked to you about it.
So, let me go and reach for my notes.
Bourdain and Prodhomme, the 2 riders on the attack.
So because tomorrow we are still close enough to the Zongle, I kind of left this part for tomorrow. And I focused on where, well, 8 which was the Jeunesse area, and the area of Bixerda, which was the big Spanish town just before the French border. So one of the signature dishes they have here of the Sardinia region is the tingsat, and that's made from potatoes, cabbages, and pork, or bacon. It's mashed all together and pan-fried until very crispy. That sounds very much like a winter skiing dish, not much like a 40-degree cycling trip.
No, not at all.
Kido and naps, again sorry for my Catalan accents, a traditional winter stew of duck with turnips and especially associated with this region of La Sardinia.
That's heavy too.
That's quite heavy. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy this as well. The cargols a la Iona, which is grilled or oven roast snails, typically served with garlic oil or spicy sauce.
Wow, that's rich as well.
That's rich as well. This scudella eatinda, which is a meat dish especially popular in the colder months. Once again, we are in the ski areas, high up in the mountains. The local fouette or yangonissa, which is a mountain ham.
Okay.
And obviously, again, being in the mountains, a lot of goat cheese. In season, it's very popular to go and find wild mushrooms that they often use for dishes, stew, or grills. And around here, you're also quite famous for the grilled lamb or beef from the Pyrenees mountain. Yesterday, well, we're still in Catalonia, well, obviously again the Catalan, but they also have a local pastry coca, which is savory Catalan bread,
That's good. That would be tasty.
and they do a sweet wine.
So lots to think about, but some of it's pretty hefty food.
Yes, and again, we're quite high up in the mountains, and there's not much veggies around here. Everything is quite soupy and warm dishes, a lot of meat.
Sounds tasty though, nonetheless. And for anyone who's watching and wants to make it, then just note it down and have a Tour de France dinner tonight. And you can follow along every day for 3 weeks. There's the peloton. They're not far behind now, are they? Because they just came round that corner, are close to the back of the group of riders. It's a very small peloton now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gone from the valley road to the 5k to go mark of this climb has kind of been quite reduced. In regards to with 4 riders in total in the team of his Melissa bike. Tom Pickup looking okay there.
He looks fine, doesn't he? We haven't seen him all day today. We finally get a chance to see him. He's
Halfway with him.
sitting a little
There
far
at the
back.
back, yeah. There what he won Bernal.
I wonder whether Pidcock's just taking the pressure off himself. The way he's riding, it's very relaxed, isn't it?
Yeah, he is riding quite far back at on this peloton, but also if he needed to go and fight for position, he'd be elbowing the likes of the other teams who have 4 or 5 riders, where he's left alone with 1. So you don't really kind of do that. It's kind of a lost battle. It's a lost energy. So you kind of accept that the teams in the front have bigger numbers and they're doing their own race. So you kind of have to find your place in the peloton. And as you can see, it's all just teams one behind the other, and it's almost who has the most numbers gets the priority to be in the front.
Down the group than he would if he was sitting where Adam Yates is sitting.
On this particular climb, not so much, because you can just see everyone is pretty smooth around the corners. When it's a climb with a lot of switchback, was one of the typical Alpine climbs or the Pyrenees with switchback, but they're not blocking the often later on in the tour you will see when some of the riders want to the corner, not always on the good angle to make sure that the riders behind don't have to brake, but have to slow down or you get in their way. So there's little tricks like that where they will not automatically take the shorter on a climb like this. So positioning is just in case someone attacks. If someone attacks now from the very front, he's a long way to go and catch the wheel. But in terms of energy, Ayuso is still around there as well.
Yeah. So they'll just sit there, and then towards the end of this stage, they need to move up.
Yes, also, we might see a bit of a stress coming into the break. Probably 3 turns. Again, it's not one of those descents where you have to fight for position to get over the KOM because the bunch might split. It's a pretty fast, steady descent and not dangerous.
These riders racing towards the top of the kingdom. It's getting windy out.
I was trying to figure out if it's just not heli because
Yeah.
we're also, I think, but when we had the further, seems to be a lot of wind there where they are, but I wonder if it's just a helicopter.
Prodom on the front, stage winner in the Giro d'Italia. Alex Bourdin, a stage winner in the Runau, as they make their way towards the top of the climb now. Good pace being set by both of them. The lead can only lose around about 8 minutes by the looks of things now. So it's starting to become even more fragile. this the high altitude training centre?
No.
Oh no, it's the solar furnace up there on the top, which is the world's first semi-industrial scale solar oven, built between 1962 and 1968, commissioned in 1970 for scientific research. Comprises 63 heliostats or mirrors, has a capacity of 1,000 kilowatts, one of the two largest solar furnaces in the world. The other one is in Uzbekistan. Mateo Vershov, about to be caught now. He's had a good day. The most combative rider of the day. I'd be thinking that was a good award after the amount of work he's done. One of the only riders to wear coloured shoes in the Tour de France, with the blue shoes. Everybody else, bar hardly anyone, is wearing white shoes, except for Wiesma, who've kind of got, some of them have got these silver coloured shoes that are from the Giro d'Italia.
Just see the gap there where the lead car are on the right of the screen.
This is the point where the tarmac changes as well. Becomes super smooth from now, doesn't it?
It does.
So it's been resurfaced. And it's always nice to get on that lovely smooth tarmac as we make our way up the mountain. This peloton is showing no mercy to the breakaway whatsoever. 56 seconds now.
Yeah, so I've just had the confirmation that there is no wind, so it's only 6 kilometers per hour, 5-6 kilometers per hour. It's just confirmed on the screen. So very little wind. So we are just seeing the helicopter creating a bit of turbulence. And you can just see the flags there, they're not moving at all.
If this peloton catch the breakaway and we get to the final, as George Bennett, he's had a great day in the New Zealand champions colours. There he is. Good to see him at the front of the Tour de France, dishing it out today, getting involved in the breakaway. He said before the start he would try, he did. Ultimately, the peloton catches him, but if you don't try, you don't win. How did he get up there?
Into town of Forme. 1.4 kilometers to go. Passing by our hotel soon enough. Well, yesterday's hotel.
Yeah. Population of 1,900 people. Full of chalets, hotels. An Olympic training centre that Nico's talked about. Lovely little town as we ride our way through. And we're 25 kilometres now from the finish line. I don't think anyone got the memo about not coming out on the road.
I mean, there were very few people on the previous climb.
Yeah,
I think once again, it's a lot of people who were there already. It was just trying to limit, because if you look at this, it's a lot less people on the top of La Molina. Oh, there's a flat.
Puncture here for Quid Simmons. I was just about to say he's had a good day, Quid Simmons. He's been in that group of riders all the time. It's diminished in numbers quite considerably, and he's still there.
Yeah, we know he has good legs when he needs to be up there on the climbs. The peloton go through the 25 kilometers to go.
Anton Pache again there in the group towards the back. Also in the group is Leonard Van Eppelt in the colours of Lotto Intermarché on the right-hand side. For the fans today, they will not have seen the caravan. There's been no caravan going up these 40 kilometres. So they've missed out on the traditional arrival of the caravan, which always is that moment where you feel like the tour is about to arrive. Travels ahead of the race by a couple of hours, and you've worked on it, haven't you?
Yes.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. I wasn't officially employed, I came to get a hand.
Oh, okay. So we're not allowed to talk about it.
No.